Hello one and all, and welcome back to another animation review here on the Fortress of Solitude. This week we're going to be checking out my adventures with Superman, which continues this week with its third episode titled My Interview with Superman. Lois Lane continues to try and get an interview with the Man of Steel, who since we saw him last episode has been helping out in Metropolis where he can, this time helping rescue a pilot from a crashing blimp before quickly leaving before Lois can get an interview with him. Tracking down the hero isn't Lois's only problem, as she must deal with the Scoop crew, who are also after an interview with the Man of Steel. The Scoop crew are the Daily Planet mainstays of Steve Lombard, the Jock sports reporter, Cat Grant, the Planet's gossip columnist, and Ronnie Troop, the only actual legitimate reporter of the trio. These characters were alluded to at the end of last issue, where they stole Lois and Clark's byline on the story with Superman fighting the robots, and here we get to meet them properly, and it's just wonderful. They each embody their comic counterparts to the letter, and Ronnie Troop, however, has been gender swapped, and I really like it since it means now that both the Scoop crew and Lois and Clark's crew have an even number of male and female characters to kind of play off of each other, which I thought was quite interesting. We only get to see the group for a brief moment, but I thoroughly enjoyed what I saw of them, and I can't wait to see more of them in the coming episodes. The reporters trying to get a Superman interview isn't the only plot, as we are treated to some more villains making their presence known throughout Metropolis, and this time it's Silver Banshee, Roughhouse, and Mist, both who break Shiv out of prison with some of the new tech out in the city streets thanks to Livewire's actions last episode. This gives Shiv the ability to scream thanks to a special helmet they give her. Roughhouse the ability to hit really hard thanks to his gauntlets, and Mist gets a cloaking device as well as a giant freeze ray, which ends up causing all sorts of problems thanks to being unstable. Now, Mist and Roughhouse getting involved in this series are really surprising inclusions, since Roughhouse has been dead in continuity since I think the mid-2000s, and even then he was a very obscure character. He was a clone of a henchman of Boss Moxie. Now that's a really deep pull, and again it showcases the writers, in this case Aman Aduma, who wrote this episode, are doing their research into Superman and the DCU lore. Mist is another interesting choice as well, since Kyle Knight actually made a recent return to continuity in the JSA book by Jeff Johns, and he's actually a hero in that. The show also tied Kyle and Shiv together, seemingly making them brother and sister, which is quite cool, especially since it sidesteps Kyle's rather colourful past, something which I won't go into here, but something that you guys maybe should look up, since his relationship with his mother and his father and how he came to be is quite controversial, to say the least. The villains, however, didn't really get much to do over this episode. Their breakout and subsequent bank robbery felt very much secondary to the Lois plot, and I'm cool with them focusing on Lois and Clark's relationship since that is primarily what the show is about, but I really expected a little more of the villains, especially after how they handled Livewire and Deathstroke in the first two episodes. The character designs continue to be great though, and I liked Banshee's helmet and fur collar look, and how Roughhouse and Mist wore very stripped down, simple costumes, which was no doubt to make it easier for the animators. So Lois finally gets her interview with Superman, and unlike other iterations where it's been used as a way to convey who the hero is, his Kryptonian origins, his powers, his weaknesses, etc., this time even the hero doesn't know the answers to these questions, merely stating he's there to help, which is most important to him. It also again sidesteps the whole idea that Superman would just willingly tell people what his weakness is, which is something I never really liked that the Donner movies cemented in canon, that he would willingly tell Lois and the paper what his weakness is. I always thought that came across as a little bit arrogant, like he wasn't worried that someone would ever find kryptonite. We get to see more of Clark's past this episode, as again, the villain's weapon seemingly is being run by some sort of alien or Kryptonian technology, which when Superman destroys, allows him to see some sort of robot invasion, which leads me to think that maybe they are Brainiac robots, or maybe these are robots that Kryptonians use to invade other worlds. Clark's powers also continue to develop, and we get heat vision this episode, which begins showing up in kind of a classic way with Clark seeing Lois and, kind of having feelings for her, and that, gets his blood going and everything, so his powers start to sort of kick in. The unlocking of powers, well done in Superman media before, and in every iteration I do believe, does fall in line with the show drawing heavy inspiration from anime. This is Clark's next power level, if you will. And I'm sure next episode or in the next coming episodes we'll get X-ray vision or freeze breath or telescopic vision, and hilarity will ensue as he tries to juggle all these different powers and them always just kind of turning on when he least suspects it. The anime inspirations don't stop there, as we get the very fun opening to the show at the beginning of the episode, which is just pure anime OP greatness, giving us a good look at all of the villains we'll see in the show, as well as our heroes facing off with them, and even another really cool looking transformation for Clark into Superman, again borrowing more from that Sailor Moon opening we got in the last episode. My adventures with Superman continues to be firing on all cylinders, diving into even more Superman mythology with some interesting new takes on classic and new villains, while also building Lois and Clark's relationship with each other, as well as the rest of the very fun Daily Planet cast. I do wish we got a little bit more time with the villains and their bank robbery plot though, since it felt very much a secondary throwaway plot in this episode. I'm going to give this episode a 9 out of 10, so check it out. And if you haven't already, check out what I thought about the very strong first 2 episodes of the series, or check out Superman's adventures on the far end of space with a new Green Lantern in Superman Lost Issue 5.